I am a 14-year-old male and have lycanthropy. Basically, I get random attacks of extreme hunger and have to eat the closest thing my wild instinct finds edible. It wasn't a problem when I was a kid because I was just eating the right foods. I ate our cat once, but my mom thought she was pulled by the hurricane that had just crossed the area, so I broke up with her. But lately it's gotten out of control. I started growing at an insane rate 2 years ago, was 150 centimeters and 55 kilograms, and now I'm 215 centimeters and 220 kilograms. And as soon as I became much older than my peers, problems began to surface. About half an hour later, a policeman came. He picked me up in his car and took me to my parents. After that, I ate maybe a dozen people. It's like one moment I'm completely fine and the next moment I feel extremely hungry and need to eat. What happens next? I find myself plucking raw meat from something red. I remember this very well, but when it happens, I can't even identify what or who it is. It's just food and I need it badly. Then I'm myself again and realize what I've just done. I was taken to a psych ward and they tried a lot of drugs, but none of them worked. I was really calmer, even complacent when I was myself, but when the hunger started, I attacked and ate whoever was nearby. I ate a doctor and 3 nurses, and then I was released. They said they cured me, but in reality, they were just afraid of being eaten. They tried bear gas, but I did worse than good. I was blinded, so I couldn't use the control parts. I just ate the first thing that smelled like a living creature. After handing it over to my family, they tried many methods and found one that worked. If there was some food nearby, I would jump on that food and eat it instead of a human or pet. So for over a year, I always kept some food on hand and ate a lot. I was gaining weight like crazy. I quickly crossed the BMI threshold of 40, which makes me monstrously obese. I led a relatively normal life and even found a girlfriend. He really liked me and I confessed my problem to him. But one day he advised me to try to lose weight with no food around me that I could eat. Conclusion: I don't have a girlfriend. I mean, I still have it all over my body, and it will greatly increase the strength of my muscles the next time I need them to eat one. I am so hungry. I grew up in a large Jewish family in the 1970s, being the youngest of all 7 brothers. All of them were mature and fit the standards of what a true Jewish should look like: black hairs, slim, and constantly wearing a black suit. I, however, had a weight of 90 kilograms at the age of 10, and my weight kept growing and growing. My father, who I used to tenderly call Puppy, required the best from me in terms of academics, so I crammed day and night to make up for my fault. My mama, however, didn't manifest her real love even if I was the most achieving child in my cohort. So one day, I gave up. I couldn't stand the way I was derided by my older brothers and simply began eating everything. I saw fish, whether fresh or stale, junk food and cereals. Nevertheless, gobbling the wool from my sofa became my true obsession. Dear readers, in this blog, we'll be sharing a highly personal story about a painful period in our lives, so please don't be ashamed of asking any questions regarding the same problems. When I was already weighing more than 150 kilograms at 16, I met Carlo, a 15-year-old big boy from Abu Dhabi. Carlo has become my closest friend since we both share the same problems. He didn't succeed in terms of relationships. His last girlfriend, Giovanna, left him, saying that she is tired of him eating her hair and that he is too fat to be her boyfriend. Carlo was devastated by this situation, therefore he decided to look for a better girlfriend. After about 2 years of trying to get into relationships, Carlo never succeeded. Society did not accept him because he was overweight and ugly. I had quite a similar issue. It was hard to be one of the biggest people in my English classroom, who constantly broke the chairs and toilets. I was sitting on a dark wooden bench, anxiously awaiting Carlo after seeing him on Tinder. When I first witnessed his appearance, I was completely shocked. I didn't think that there could be someone even fatter than me. We shook our hands and I instantly felt the soft sweat on his palms. Wiping my hand on his shirt, I felt how soft he himself was. That was the moment we got the connection, he said, and similarly touched my breast. We understood that to thrive together, we don't need to obey society's requirements. Thus, we decided to enjoy who we are: 2 fat men with a total weight of 350 kilograms. 350 kilograms of happiness. Yesterday, I was talking with my father and it eventually led to us talking about childhood stories. One of them was about how I almost got my kindergarten teacher fired. It went something like this. My parents gave me money to take to school. It wasn't much, just $5. At the time, I was 5. I didn't know how to buy my own drinks, so I gave the money to my teacher to have her buy it for me. The teacher bought the drink and gave it and the change back. I asked her how much the drink was, and she said $1. I counted the change and told her something along the lines of, "Why is there only $4 for change? It's supposed to be $5. The teacher replied with something like, "My name, if you have $5 and I used $1, how much would you have left?" I replied that it was 5. I clearly wasn't very bright as a child. The teacher argued with me for a while, then I turned to my classmates to shout and fuss about not getting my money back. I don't know, maybe the power of friendship or the righteousness of children, but they also very unbrightly thought I was right, demanding the $1 to be given back to me. I don't know why the teacher didn't calmly explain it to the children, but she also got mad and shouted back at us, telling us we're stupid. So we charged into the principal's office and many parents were called. There were many children crying or screaming, my father told me. He said he remembered how chaotic the scene was and how many parents along with him were asked to come to school for some reason. The situation was then cleared a few hours later, and reason the situation arose to begin with. Because of a dumb child me that couldn't do maths properly. It was so funny to me. I laughed so hard yesterday. I felt like sharing the story, so here it is. A mentally ill welder has been sentenced today for strangling, shooting, and dismembering his 23-year-old girlfriend, whom he suspected of being a shape-shifting black man. Rob Turnpike of Ghent County, Oklahoma, strangled, shot, and dismembered 23-year-old Ellie White, a blonde-haired, blue-eyed college sophomore studying geography at Northwestern following an argument in a motel room in Jarrowville, Texas in February 2019. His attorney, Will Yates, had previously insisted the defendant was clearly mentally ill and attempted to have this used as a mitigating factor during sentencing. Speaking during one of the final hearings, Yates had said Turnpike was clearly mentally ill. He was under the impression that his girlfriend was some sort of shape-shifting black man simply because she was a similar size or height, something many of us would find ridiculously absurd. He claimed she had repeatedly poisoned him. This was a relationship balancing on a fragile point, wrought with paranoia, distrust, and anger. State prison is not suitable for my client. He requires special care in a mental institution. This argument had, however, been dismissed during a court hearing in Fulton County Courthouse. Prosecutors had insisted that Turnpike was of sound mind and knew what he was doing. Turnpike has now been sentenced to serve 40 years in Williamsville State Prison in Fort Vincent, Texas, with eligibility for parole after 22 years. Justice Fieldings, visiting from Arrowhead, Arizona, to stand in for Justice Hawkins, who is currently seriously ill with glandular fever, said during sentencing, "This is a dangerous man, a very dangerous man." There was clear evidence of a history of physical abuse carried out against the victim. He has now been removed from the streets and away from the general public. Lily White, the 14-year-old sister of the victim, told reporters that she was devastated and that the entire family would need to move out of Oklahoma completely because it's just too unsafe in this state. The motel room where Ellie White was murdered was on the Texas-Oklahoma state line in the small town of Jarrowville. However, both Turnpike and the White family lived in Oklahoma, and White was said to have returned briefly from Illinois to visit her boyfriend. Turnpike was described by friends as being of English and Belgian descent. A friend, Tim Bauer, stated Rob was a nice dude. He didn't seem like the type to do that to a woman, let alone his own girlfriend. I still find it unbelievable, and what makes it worse is that the week prior to staying at the motel with his girlfriend, he'd just come back from an Occupy Area 51 group trip. I'm no conspiracy theorist, but everybody admit that it's weird, even if a little coincidental.